Welcome back to Chokitable Media. This is another business series of my videos that I really want you to listen to and watch. If the fire in you is burning to start a business and you don't know how to do it and you don't know how to go about it, some of my videos will definitely set you on the right path if you care to watch. Because to start up is not that easy. If you don't have mentoring, if you don't have people you're speaking with, if you don't have people you're watching or books that you're reading that will set you on the right path, it will make you to do it like a pro, but you need to start little by little. This particular business series video that I'm showing to you right now was made happen by United Bank of Africa in one of their webinar for 2024 that they had last week. It's a very lengthy video, over 2 hours, so to say, or around 2 hours. But I will try to bring you the nuggets. The 2 hours is a bit too long, but I will bring you bit by bit. If you stay tuned on this channel, if you keep watching, I will be bringing them to you until we exhaust over or around 2 hours video of this business class series. And what is the title of this series? The title is Built to Last. They want to teach you how to build your business to last, starting from how to start up, then how to build it to last, because majority of the business that we have in Africa or in Nigeria particularly, where I come from, it's actually not, when you build it, people don't separate the business from the owner. The understanding of what the business is actually lacking. It's lacking, seriously lacking. They don't differentiate between the business they established and the people running the business or the ownership of the business. So in this series, you will learn a lot of things because a lot of experts were brought together by the organization, by the organizer of this webinar, and that's why you would like to listen to it, because people from diverse business fields, heads were brought together to educate every one of us. If you are yearning, like I said, the fire in you is burning and you don't know what to do and where to start, come on, stay tuned on this channel. You will enjoy the series. Among these people on this forum or in this webinar that I joined in as well, we have successful business, young business people like TOKE MAKINWA. She's here. Then we have Bolanle Austin Peters. She is here as well with our business. If you know these people that I'm talking about, you will see that they've excelled in their businesses. Then I have with me here, I have Frank is here as well. Then I have Princess Tekina. I have Frank EDOHO, and I have Dr. James Asari AJIE with me here on this series. So, but I would like you to take your time to listen to them. When you want to build your business and you want it to last, and you want to have profit with it. So they put the title as built to last, profit with a purpose, business continuity. So how do you want to make it continue? So it's not about, the newbies or people joining in, to start a business. But you've built yours, but how do you make it to last? Please listen. Don't be too low. You're not there yet. Stay tuned and watch this video to the end. I'll bring it a bit by bit so that at least it will be easier for you also to understand, so that you won't have any burnout. First of all, I will bring Bolanle Austin Peters. Maybe she spoke about, I think about over 10 minutes she spoke. Then take the nugget out of it and you will enjoy it. This is Chokitable Media. Don't forget to share, subscribe, and like. God bless you as you do. I will be on here listening together with you so that it won't be boring. And if you have any question, please put it in the comment section. We will trash it out together. Thank you for watching Chokitable Media.
A testament to our global influence and success. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bolanle Austin Peters.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for her. Thank you.
Thanks very much, and thank you for having me, UBA. And it's an honor to be here, and to my co-panelists, Mr. EDOHO and my dear TOKE, and Benita, Princess, that I just met today, and the entire UBA family. And thanks to all those who have come out today to listen to this talk. I was asked to speak about build to last, profit with purpose, and business continuity. So I'll start by saying good day to everybody once again. It's an honor to stand before such a dynamic audience today to talk about these points. I'd like to thank UBA, Africa's Global Bank, for this platform to share some sustainable business practices, especially in relation to having businesses in Nigeria. So if we look around Nigeria, if we all take a look around Nigeria and ask ourselves, really, how many businesses do last past 5 years? The mortality rate is very, very high. Very, very high. As a matter of fact, if you look at the so-called industries that are supposed to be the money spinners, like banks, oil companies, a lot of them that we grew up with are not in existence today. There's so many that hit mortality in their first 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and the list goes on. For various reasons, it's very challenging to start businesses and to run businesses in Nigeria. And I guess the reason why I'm here today is because for 20 years, we have been able to successfully run Terra Kulture, BAP Productions, Terra Academy for the Arts, and also we started an international theater festival this year. And I'm sure that the reasons apply to a lot of other companies that have been able to survive over the years. I'll start by telling you a story. You know, when I started Terra, I remember very vividly that a gentleman called Jaman Anikulapo, he was the editor of Arts for Guardian. He sniggered. It was Fola Adiola that took me to him. And he sniggered and was like, yeah, oh, she wants to start an art center, ha, ha, ha. Today, Jaman is one of my greatest supporters. I've won many awards on their platform. And Jaman tells me, he says, BAP, when you started, we all thought it was another spoiled rich girl's dream of just, oh, I want to do arts, I want to be flighty, and that they all thought I was going to be a flash in the pan, like so many other businesses that have come and gone ahead of me. So the question is, how come have we been able to sustain a business such as this for 20 years? We're in the 21st year. You know, if I were to ask UBA here today, if I'd come to you 21 years ago that you should invest in an arts center, you guys would say no. There is no way you would have supported me. The focus was always on oil and those industries that appear to have a lot of financial turnover. Spaces like the arts and culture were not considered to be commodities that would generate wealth. And for 21 years, we preached this and said Nigeria's greatest wealth is its people and its culture and its arts. It's taken almost 2 decades for Nigerians, financial institutions, as well as the international community to come on board to understand that these are our greatest assets. It took the music of our superstars going abroad and bringing in the dollars back home for us to understand the power that we have in our culture and in our arts. So, how was I able to do this for 21 years? There's so many, many areas, but I'll focus on some core things. And I think that's what maybe most of those in this audience want to understand, how to make a business last. The first thing, purpose. When I started, I was clear about what I wanted to achieve and I said, I am going to put together an organization that is going to be structured like a bank, like a tech company. In short, the framework that every company in this world has, which is you have your legal structure, you have your administrative structure, you have your board. And the reason is this. If you don't have a framework, you might as well be any other talk shop, anything on the side of the street. So it was about purpose. I was clear about it. What was I selling? I was selling something that was very ephemeral. You couldn't touch it. But I set it up as an institution. So from the get-go, people took me seriously. That this woman is not here to just sell rice. After all, what am I selling? If I were to articulate what I was selling 21 years ago, could anybody articulate it for me? Nobody knew what I was selling. My dad thought I was crazy, But in putting together a structure that looked like I was serious, people took me seriously. And that's very important. So I had a legal framework. I had my administrative framework in place. I had staff. I had procedures. But I think the most important thing that I want to focus on is the board. I had a board in place. Who were my board members? The co-founder of GT Bank, Mr. Tayo Aderinyoku, was my chair. Boli Oshibodu, the founder of VGO, was a director. And the list goes on and on. And let me tell you the value of a board. So what happened? When I started, I said, I'm going to be doing this thing. I'm going to have a cafe, etc., etc. And Tayo Aderinyoku called me, God bless his soul, and said, BAP, how are you going to sustain this business? And I said, no, we have a cafe, we have this, we have that. He said, no. I said, there will be a lot of donors supporting us. And he said, no. There will be something called donor fatigue at some point. How are you going to run this business? It took me 3 weeks of brainstorming, asking myself, where am I going to get the money from when the donors dry out and the donations? Then one day, it came from the most unlikely source, my architect. He came and said, BAP, look at this land behind you. Look at this land. Do you know you can convert this into a theater or a hall? That theater became our lifesaver. It became the sustaining arm of Terra Kulture. That was the first thing. The second thing was the cafe. I wanted to put in this cute cafe. You know how we are? It's going to be very pretty. We just come here and have tea and coffee. And Tayo said, no, make it a restaurant, a proper restaurant. Those two things, the restaurant and the theater, became the lifeline of Terra Kulture. Whether we sold art or not, whether we had an exhibition or not, there was cash flow that ran through Terra Kulture's veins for 21 years, and it has been consistent for those 21 years. I'm saying this to say that when you start a business, interrogate all the different areas that could possibly become your Waterloo. Most people have brilliant ideas, but if your ideas are not sustainable long run, you run into trouble. So for 21 years, I've never had to struggle about paying salaries. I have employed over 100 people monthly for the past 21 years, and I've never struggled to pay salaries. That is because we have the structure that would sustain us through the years. So the board is very critical, sustainability. The second important thing is your pedigree and your experience. There are certain things in life that put you in a position where you can draw on experience. So I started out as a lawyer. I worked with the United Nations, with the United Nations Center for Human Rights in Geneva, in Namibia, in Ethiopia. What did these things do for me? I developed skill sets that you would not develop if you were sitting in your house. So I learned how to run an office. I was in charge of the sub-office in Ethiopia. There are things called budgets. There are things called budget lines. You can't spend if you don't have a budget. And you can't go outside your budget line for other things without approval. When I came to Nigeria, 1 or 2 businesses that I worked with, they had no structure, they had no budget, and some of them were oil businesses that were turning over millions of dollars. they did not survive because there was no distinction between company funds, personal funds. The owner and the business were all the same. They'll dip into the bank account every weekend and live their jolly lives. Of course, a couple of years down the line, those businesses are no longer in existence. So, the value of the experiences that I gained in the UN, the value that I had gained in running offices prior to starting Terra Kulture, the administrative procedures that you have to go through to run an organization, the auditing that you have to go through to ensure that your finance and your accounts are balanced at the end of the day. And most important is the integrity. The integrity, that muscle that you build, that what belongs to the company does not belong to you, is something that very few Nigerians are capable of understanding. You have to draw a line between company and personal. In fact, I remember one day somebody saw me and said, BAP, but you guys are making so much money, then you say you are broke. How are you broke? I'm like, Terra Kulture is not Bolanle. Bolanle is different from Terra, but for a lot of Nigerians, they don't know the distinction, and it is a problem. It is a problem that ensures that a lot of businesses go under. Then another thing that I'd like to touch on is leadership. You know, I've been working a lot with MIT as a fellow, and something to talk about is about adaptive leadership. What does that mean? A lot of times, leaders, there's nothing called leaders. You're in a leadership position. If your team do not buy into your vision, if your team do not see where you're headed, you cannot survive as a business. Because the minute you're out of the equation, the business will collapse. So what do? Ownership. Your team has to own your vision with you. So instead of doing top-down, what I do most times is I throw the question to my team. So I want to do this. Give me your ideas. Your ideas is what we're going to use to run this thing. Even if you know where you're going, make sure that you bring them on board to buy into that idea. Otherwise, you'll be on your own. You will think you're a general leading some soldiers, but there's nobody behind you. The minute you're not there, everybody drops the ball. And that is very, very critical. Leadership and ownership, those two things go hand in hand. But I think as a last point, because I understand I have 7 minutes, the most important thing that I'd like to talk about is the reason why we have stayed alive as a company is innovation. Innovation and technology. Those two things have driven Terra Kulture from the get-go. And the reason is this. We started out as a cultural center teaching languages. That's how I started out, to teach Nigerian languages to our children. Then we got oversubscribed and I panicked and I'm like, I don't want to own a creche. I don't want to be teaching children. Guys, shut this thing down. That is a business for some of you that you can do. That's a business that needs to be owned by someone in Nigeria. All the expatriates, all the mothers, everybody will dump their kids to come and learn Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa, because a lot of us are tribalizing our children, right? So I'm like, this can't work. Then I focused on art. Started selling art. Then moved to art auctions when we realized that exhibitions were no longer doing it for us. Then I pivoted. I went into theater, like some of you know. We started doing theater, and what we did with theater was pretty revolutionary. So theater had died, and I gave my space free for people to come and act and perform. And then as they started growing as a group, I stepped into the place and I said, I think there's something I can bring into this space. And I understood that Nigerians like musicals. So I said, okay, you know what we're going to bring in? We're going to bring music into theater. It changed theater forever. It changed Nigerian theater forever. The second thing I did was I said, after we showed our first musical, Saru the Musical, and the setting up of a house, you know those set structures that they put on, was what caused us to fail. Because the builder was building and said he had to build this house on a stage. So the actors didn't have time to rehearse, and they opened to the audience. I said, this will never, ever happen again. I changed from physical set to technology. It has caught up like wildfire all over the theater industry in Nigeria. Nobody builds set anymore. You use your technology, you project the location, and that was it. Today, we have a completely different story, to the extent that we started a theater festival just last week. We had over 25 participating companies from Nigeria and from abroad coming to the theater festival. This was something that would never have happened in Nigeria 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or even 15 years ago. It's testament to the fact that if you see a gap, you can fill it up by thinking through it and asking yourselves, what is missing and what can I bring in to improve this space? And that is exactly what we did with theater, innovation. Then from there, we moved to movies. And some of you know my movies already, from House of God to Bling Lagosians to Fumilayo and Samkuti, Man of God, etc., etc. I'm a lawyer. I trained myself to be a director. I trained myself to be a producer. You can do anything. It's really mind over matter. I was talking to TOKE earlier. I said, TOKE, you know, we all really can do anything. It's all about mind over matter. Focus. Most times we get distracted. Somebody is doing this, you do that. Somebody is doing this, you do that. I said to my team, we're staying in theater and we're staying in movies. I don't get distracted. If you tell me somebody is doing oil and they tell me, I'll never do it. It's not my business. Whatever you're turning over there is really not for me to do. This is my own passion and this is my space. Finally, excellence. Excellence. That spirit of excellence and perfectionism, a lot of us lack it in Nigeria. We feel people should consume anything because we can't be bothered to fix it. I don't subscribe to that at all. Anything that I will not like, I don't give it to the public to consume. Anything that I will not be able to sell to somebody outside of Nigeria, I don't provide it for Nigerians. It's a global village. This thing of saying, oh, it's for Nigerians, so it's okay, it's not okay. If somebody in America will sit and say this is not good enough, I have no business producing it. So excellence has been our watchword from day one. Anything that is not good enough, fix it. Don't show people, don't take it out, don't talk about it. And that excellent spirit is what all of us need to imbibe, even as a people in Nigeria. It's very lacking. We're used to mediocrity. We've accepted mediocrity as the norm. And it's something that has to change in our DNA as a people. We cannot continue to be average. Average does not cut it. And those are the things that have allowed us over the years, to be featured. There's no platform from CNN to BBC to Al Jazeera that we haven't been featured on. We're going to South Africa in February, invited by the South African State Theatre, because they see the excellence of our content. This is the second time they pay for us to come and show our theatre. This thing used to happen. We've been to Dubai, Egypt, London with Nigerian stage plays. We've gotten to the top of movies. The American State Department recently invited us to come over to Nigerian filmmakers to come and see what they're doing there so that we can also share knowledge and experience what we can do better here, paid for by the Americans. This is to show you that people watch. People are looking. People know who is working. People know who is doing things at the right level. So when you think you can fake it, it's not true. People can see through you. So for me, the ability to stay in business has been probably these 5 pillars. The first one being purpose. The second one being knowing who you are, what you're bringing to the table, and your experiences, bringing it to bear on what you're doing. The third one is your leadership skills. What are you teaching people, and how are you bringing your team on board to support you so that when you're not there, they can carry on with the vision? The fourth is innovation. How are you innovating as a company? What are you doing? Are you just saying, oh, you know, things are not happening here anymore, so therefore my business will die? You can pivot and innovate, and you can look at the world, because anything you're doing now without technology will not last and will not stand the test of time. And finally, is excellence. Excellence, excellence. When people talk about you, they should remember only one thing about you. When people talk about me, I'm not there, but I hear all they say, she's good. She's good. She's really good at what she does. And for me, that's the biggest. It's not about the money. It's about what you represent as a brand. My brand stands for excellence. And that is the most important thing you want to sell as a person. The money will come after. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Warren, could you give us a few minutes? So thank you very, very much. Very inspiring. The points that you made, I could go on and on, but I know that you have a limited time with us. And I wanted to just give the audience, because we do have people from all over Africa watching, and we do have people in the room here. So I just thought a few questions would be nice before you leave. So are there any questions for Bolanle in the room, please? Okay, we have one. Sorry? Okay, two. I'm just going to take three. 1, 2, 3. And please let me know if we have questions online as well. So the gentleman in the cap is number 1. And then can we take all 3 and then you just, okay. So can he have a microphone?
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation. I mean, that was very great. So my question is this, you know, when you said when you wanted to start, you put structures in place, and those structures were so important to you. My question now is, you know, you have people like those GT, those big, imagine you want to start up a business and you want to have such structure, and you don't have those kind of, great profiles, to help you, help you see things that you can't see. What are the things you can put in place if you are starting so small? Because based on what you say, you are not starting small because of those big profiles.
I love it. Thank you. Good point.
Okay.
Okay. So Bolanle, thank you so much for everything that you said. It's I'm sure something that will go very far in getting a lot of potential entrepreneurs, or those are entrepreneurs right now, to move forward, in their business exploits. Question. People know Muzon to be in this space for a while, but now, if you're talking about theater in Nigeria, and I dare to say even across Africa, you'll probably come to be, the reference point, right, for that. So at that point when you started, did you see Muzon as your competitor? And, did you set out to beat them? And if you did, what was the process that you went through, if you did? Then secondly, what lessons do you have for people who are going into business, as far as competition is concerned, and how do you factor that into your plans and use that for growth to, as a, something to propel you towards excellence? You talked about excellence. So how do you use that competitive strain to sort of give yourself proportion?
Thank you. Very good question. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. That was a very fantastic. I enjoyed that, and I learned a couple of things. So I'll just go straight to my question. So I wanted to ask, when you started, and as you kept on innovating, according to using technology to improve, I would like to ask, what were some of the mistakes you made, that, and how fast were you able to pick yourself, to continue with the trends? Because, recently there's a lot of trend. What worked in 2023 doesn't apply in 2024 because things are changing every now and then, and you could get confused, especially for someone that's just starting out. So I would like to ask, what were some of the mistakes you made, and how were you able to correct those mistakes and get better with your craft? Thank you.
Wow. Excellent questions. I'll take the 3. First is the small business. So for me, the way I look at life is that there are different levels. Even in business, they say there is SMEs, there's the small, there's the micro, you know, there are the bigger businesses as well. So at your level, whatever it is that you're doing, there are people that are better than you, that have better understanding of things than you probably have or do, right? And that's where I'm coming from. It's not always that everybody is going to start with a GT bank. It's not always that all of us will have access to $1 million. It's not always. But in your space, in your sphere, there are people who have better understanding of what you're trying to do. And I think what I want to say to you is that you must look for them. So when I talk about GT Bank, just let me clarify this. Nobody took me to GT Bank. I initiated it. Yes, maybe my pedigree helps, but let me tell you this, I could have used friends. I could have used, anytime I'm doing anything, I ensure that nobody introduces me to the person. And this is why. I don't want to be beholden to nobody. I don't want anybody to say they did me any favors. Then you become their poodle. So when I wanted to reach Mr. Tayo Aderyokun, I kept calling his secretary. I know 1 million people that know him. After a while, he said, oh, please, can the secretary called back and said, who is this madam that keeps saying she wants to meet me? That's when I went. And when I went, I was ready with my pitch. So this is me here. You might want to access me. You might not be able to access me. If you keep pushing, coming to Terra Kulture, one day I'll be like, look, you know what? Let me talk to this guy. So there's something called persistence that a lot of us don't have. You must be persistent. You must be tenacious. You must focus on what you're looking for in life. Nobody's going to come looking for you. You must want it badly. And when you want it badly enough, it will happen. All right? So that's my answer to you. There's somebody somewhere that knows more than you. So please focus on finding those people, and you will find them. All right? Thank you. Then the second thing is competition. This is a very important thing that we need to address. So people see competition as being negative. I actually see it as a plus. And I tell you why. Whenever you're comfortable in your space, you think you're the king of the castle, but in reality, you're not. You're thinking, oh, I'm the best movie maker. Oh, I'm the best this. Somebody else is honing their skills, and they're getting better at what they do. So what I do with competition is this. First, I focus on my focus. Whether TOKE likes issue, whether John likes issue, anybody, I don't care. You can do whatever you want. My focus is my focus. And the distraction is too much in modern day society, especially with all the social media nonsense that goes on. So you have to protect yourself from the madness, because a lot of it is also fake. So you guys have to understand that when you're starting a business, when you're starting out in life, you have to create your own bubble. That's space where nobody can come into and permeate and tell you that, oh, this is not good enough. I just do me in my own space. But what I do is this. I study the work of everybody in my space. If you think you should be hating your competition, then you're not very smart. It's the opposite. What has she done that people are saying her work is good? I go and look at it. I say, okay, oh, okay, good. We borrow from here. Why are you reinventing the wheel? People every day try to think they're geniuses. There are very few geniuses born. Most of it is through hard work and consistency that people become geniuses. You don't need to fix things. Just sort it out. Look at what others are doing, fit it into what you're doing, and get better than them. That is the kind of competition you should have, not the one where you're hating, pulling somebody down. In fact, let me tell you this. No matter how much you hate, you can't pull anybody's destiny down. It's your problem. You're just hating and belly aching for no apparent reason. Focus on you. When you focus on yourself, you move faster and just study what other people are doing. And I keep saying this thing, don't stay local. Keep looking at what people are doing internationally as well. That is the beauty of the internet. Why is filmmaking at this level in America, and why are we here? Why is theater like this here, and why are we here? Those are the kind of comparisons I like to make. So all these local fighting doesn't really make sense in a lot of cases. So competition is very good for you. It makes you get better, and it makes you sit up. And when we started out, Muson actually wasn't in fact, Muson was my partner. I used to go there because we didn't have a theater to do our plays. And guess what I've done again? With the theater festival, I've gone back to Muson as one of the centers, and they'll become the hub. So partnerships is also important. We have to understand that we have to pool resources together. We have to work together if we want this country and this community to grow. That's what everybody has to do. Then the final question was mistakes. You can't grow in life without making mistakes. Your mistakes are your first successes. So when I started with let me give you the example of Saro the musical. Like I told you, it didn't really go as planned. At that time, we had everybody, Minister, President Day, President Tinubu, everybody was there that day. The sound was going off, everything was bad. For 3 weeks, I had nightmares. But I spent 3 times what I've ever spent on any production on that production. So I wasn't scheming, I wasn't cheating. I just wanted it to be right. But it was bad. So I could have given up, but I did not. In fact, when things go bad, then the lion in me rises. I was like, I'm going to fix this. So the first thing I did was I fired everybody that worked for me. I said, you guys can't take me to the promised land. Because if it was money, I threw money at it. So it just means that you guys are not capable of doing what I want you to do. So I took over. There was resentment. There was hatred. There were people who were like, who is she? What does she think she knows? She will flop. I came back, bam. Give them waka, bam. Give them death, bam. I just kept boom, boom. Before I knew it, I was the best at the game. That's it. Just keep doing you. Just keep doing you. Don't look to the left, don't look to the right. People will criticize you. You can't let criticism take you down. It's part of life. And what I keep telling people all the time is constructive criticism is good. When I do a film and people are saying, this is great, I call some people into a room and I say, tell me the truth. What didn't you like about this? I listen. I go and fix it in the next film. So you must be careful of praise singers. There are too many. They'll deceive. Even people who don't like it, there's some people who come out of a film, they hate it. And they'll be like, oh, you did so well. It's a lie. Surround yourself with people who tell the truth. And you know people who tell you the truth. You know. We all know those who tell us the truth. And that is what is important, that we all do for ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we have other questions, but we'll wait and we'll also compile them, especially the ones that are online, so that we can get the other panelists. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So, get motivated. This is Choki Table Media. Don't forget to put your comment in the comment section, and I'll bring you the rest of the talk, of the discussion. And there you will be listening to Frank EDOHO, TOKE MAKINWA, and Princess herself, and the doctor among them, Dr. AJIE. You'll be listening to them all together. So, but watch this one first, then we'll talk about it, what we gain from this. Then after that, we start to talk. We start to listen to the rest of them. You know, well, I would say try to do something for me. Subscribe to this channel. Put on your notification button, share it, and put on and help to like it. You know, it will allow anybody that has the same passion like us, you know, for them also to be motivated to do something, you know, for themselves. You know, you don't want to do this 9-to-5 thing for the rest of your life. But, you know, with this, if you share it with, you know, other people, your colleagues, your friends and family, they will also, you know, have benefit, you know, from this, not just to stay on the social media. You will also see this part of my monologue in what Bolanle Austin Peters said. You know, like, you don't have to, you know, create a new wheel. You can invent a wheel. Reinvent. You can reinvent the wheel, and that's what we're saying. Reinvent the wheel. You know, do some learning as well. You know, don't just say, you know, stay on social media for nothing. Here you can gain a lot of knowledge that you cannot even gain in the classroom, because what happened in the classrooms is actually different from what happened practically outside there. So subscribe. Bye-bye for now. See you next time.